Hi. Hey. Hi. It's me, your Void. And March is shaping up to be my best reading month yet. Now you may be asking yourself, how can I say that March is going to be one of my best reading months pretty early on in the reading month? Footnote, I'm actually filming the intro at the beginning of the video and not at the end after filming the outro. Look at me. Well, today is the 5th of March, according to my clock, and I already read 5 books. Yeah, remember how I said March will be slower because all of my books are going to disappear because I'm moving? Apparently I was wrong. So how the fuck and why the fuck did I already read 5 books in March? Well, I was very excited to pick up some new books after February. February was such a good reading month. I was in just such a good reading mood and I wanted to keep going. So I had my March TBR and I looked at it and I was like, nah, I guess. And then I was like, is there anything else I could be reading? And that was when I was reminded that the Thick Thighs Readathon is happening between the 1st and the 9th of March. So I went and looked at the prompts and I filled out the prompts and I already read all of the prompts. Whoopsies! So that's what this intro is going to be, me telling you about the 5 books I already read in March for the Thick Thighs Readathon. The first book I read for the Thick Thighs Readathon is Get Alive, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. This will be a theme. Get Alive, Chloe Brown is a romance as standard as they come, I guess. We have Chloe, who is I think she's like a web designer or something, and she has fibromyalgia, so she has to kind of live her life around her being chronically ill, and she makes herself a to-do list of wanting to do more with her life. And in the midst of doing more with her life, she meets Red, who is an artist, but he is also kind of dealing with his own baggage, so he is right now doing art on the side for himself and is actually taking care of the building Chloe is living in. And they have some rather unfortunate run-ins leading to a little, not hate relationship, but they got off on the wrong foot multiple times, so they don't really like each other until they stumble upon each other over and over and over again and actually realize, hey, the other person is actually not that bad. It's as straightforward as it gets for a romance, but I really appreciated these characters and their interactions with each other, and it was just a nice, cute little read, and I gave it 4 stars, and I loved Chloe, and I loved Red, and I loved Smudge the cat, and I think Smudge is a brilliant name for a cat. I read Get Alive, Chloe Brown for the book that has an invisible disability wrap, because Chloe has fibromyalgia, and that is something that you can't even diagnose with a test. It is a differential diagnosis, meaning you have to test for everything else, and when all that shit is negative, you might be able to get a fibromyalgia diagnosis depending on the doctor, because there are actually doctors out there that don't believe in that kind of disease. Next I read Take a Hint, Dani Brown, which is the second book in this trilogy, also by Talia Hibbert. Told you there's going to be a theme. And in Take a Hint, Dani Brown, we follow Dani, the younger sister of Chloe, and she is also falling in love. Her situation is that she is a PhD student who's also teaching at a university, I think, and she is just casually, not even flirting, she's just on a casual, friendly basis with the security guard of the building she's teaching in. His name is Saf, and during a security drill, things happen and a video of them goes viral, and he has like a past of being prominent person, so it kind of goes viral, but he also has a non-profit which could profit from this social media exposure, so they make the deal of fake dating. I can tell you right away, the fake dating was never really fake, because they were both from the get-go pretty much into each other, so the fake part was actually just them desperately trying to convince each other that they are not attracted to each other, when they very much were attracted to each other. Again, I loved both of these characters. I loved Zaf. Zaf is so near and dear to my heart. I love him. Just a nice, straightforward romance. Although Dani's not straight, she is bisexual, which is important because I read this for the prompt of a book that has LGBTQIA+ representation. And yes, bisexual people in a heterosexual presenting relationship are still bisexual. And then, of course, I had to also read Act Your Age, Eve Brown, which is the third book in the Brown Sisters trilogy, again by Talia Hibbert, because of course, and oh my god, this was my favorite book of them, because yes, Chloe got 4 stars, Dani, I think I forgot to say that, also got 4 stars, Eve got 4.5 stars, just because yes! In Act Your Age, Eve Brown, we follow Eve, the youngest sister, and she is a chaos gremlin. She always starts new projects, and then something happens and she abandons the project immediately. And her story starts at the point where her parents are like, what the fuck are you doing, after her newest fuck up, and she's like, nah! And runs away and accidentally stumbles into a B&B that is looking for a chef. So she's like, yeah, might as well. And the B&B is run by Jacob, and Jacob is very anal about what he wants and what he doesn't want, partially because of his autism, partially because his parents did things to him that left some scars. So he's a bit anal about things, and Eve either doesn't notice how anal he is about things, or she just blatantly ignores it, which leads to a very interesting dynamic, and this dynamic is then tested when she accidentally runs him over with her car. So now he does in fact need help in his B&B, and she is literally the only person around to help him, so they're kind of stuck together. It's not quite the one bad trope, but technically it is, because Eve crashes on his couch for a hot second. These two together are just, yes, they are the perfect blend of absolute fucking chaos and this iron grip on organization as a coping mechanism. It's, I loved these two so much, and I gave this, as I said, 4.5 stars, and I read this for a book that was written by a BIPOC author. So I didn't only start a new trilogy, but I also finished the trilogy. So I didn't put a new series on my ever-growing list of series. Look at me. And I read 1 book a day. March 1st was Chloe, March 2nd was Dani, March 3rd was Eve, and I loved every second of it, to be honest. Now, my favorite brown sister is Chloe, my favorite love interest is Zaf, and my favorite book is Act Your Age, Eve Brown. Might be weird, I don't care, this is my opinion and I am entitled to have it. And then, because reading a single book a day wasn't enough, I read 2 things on March 4th, because of course. The first thing I read was Muscles and Monsters by Ashley Bennet? Which is a monster erotica romance novella situation. My month started so good. Last month was so good with all the pink romances. This pink romance isn't it. This reads like either an exercise in how not to write a book, or like a very flat fan fiction without having a fandom to belong to. The prose is so dry, and we are making all of the writing mistakes. We have characters describing themselves when they look at themselves in the mirror. We have a shit ton of telling in this. Like, there is not a single emotion that is shown. They are all told. We have disembodied body pieces with their own free will and mind. It's kind of cute when we talk about Atlas's tail just wagging and he's like, shh, fuck off. That is kind of funny, but his muzzle is apparently its own entity, which is weird because that is his mouth. And we had a lot of these things in there. The smut was good. But everything in between was horrible. There were glimpses of characters having some sort of depth, but the second we see it, we have to go somewhere else because apparently we are allergic to 3-dimensional characters. And a personal pet peeve of mine, specifically the relationship between Atlas and his presumably best friend? Atlas is a fucking dick to his presumably best friend. Like, he is such a dick. That's not even like cutesy bantering, I hate you, ha ha ha. No. There was like violence. There was violence involved. That, my dude, is a toxic friendship. You should like, Atlas, calm your tits, okay? So, yeah, I didn't really enjoy my time with this. At least it was over in 182 pages, I guess. I gave this 2.5 stars because of all its strange shortcomings. And the last thing I finished for the Thick Thighs Readathon was Wash Day Diaries by Jamila Rouser, which is a graphic novel following 4 four black women through their day-to-day life, I guess, and it is all kind of centered around their hair care. There's no real through line, there's no real story in this graphic novel. It is more like a slice of life snapshot of each of these women and how they go through their life and how their life is not impacted, but black hair is hard to deal with at times, as far as I understand, and you need to spend a lot of time taking care of it. So we see these snapshots of their lives. It's just a day in their life, basically, while they also go through the motions of hair care. And it's very much snapshots of their life, but these snapshots highlight days in these people's lives where they have to also deal with their hair. And I thought it was kind of cute. I love when stories have a through line and a plot, so those snapshot slice of life things are not something that I read often, but I enjoyed this one, especially the color composition. Like, the color composition is what got me, because every one of these women, they have their own color composition, and their stories are put into these color compositions, and these colors help highlight the emotions of this story. And in the end, they all come together, and the mismatch of these characters' moods is displayed by them representing their own color in a joint panel. It was so nice. It was such a nice and light and fluffy read. I really enjoyed my time with it, even though it is not something I genuinely read. So I gave it a solid 3 stars. Nothing wrong with that one. Now I'm sitting here on the 5th of March with 5 books read, and I don't think I will be stopping this pace anytime soon. So yeah, I guess I'll see you in the next clip. I finally finished this stupid book. By stupid book, I mean Valour by John Gwynne. Seriously, I challenge John Gwynne to write a book that does not bore me for the first 500 pages of its existence. I seriously challenge this man to write a book that is interesting before I hit the last 150 pages. Oh my god, this book, no. Like, it's not bad, but it's just such a slog. Like, for the first book, I can forgive that, because it's an epic major fantasy series. You do need 500 pages to introduce all your characters. I get it. But in book 2, your characters should be done with the introduction part. Instead, we get new characters being introduced, and this is what got me the most. My favorite character in book 1. I already said his storyline was so removed from absolutely everyone else. So when stuff happened to him at the end of the book, I was like, nah, Guess what? It did happen to him, and it stuck. And he was my favorite character. My second favorite character is now just walking around watching other people have all the fun, so he is fucking boring. And my third favorite character moved so far into the background that I sometimes forgot he was even there. I think you have an idea of how much I enjoyed this book, right? But yeah, this is basically just a giant road trip where we follow multiple characters going into multiple places, doing the same exact thing at every single place. And then the last 100 and 150 pages happen, and suddenly the book is actually interesting because shit happens other than we're going from A to B. But I do have some hope. Book 1, Malice. The last 100 and 150 pages were interesting because shit happened, but the shit that happened by the end of Malice felt different to the shit that happened at the end of Valour. The shit that happened at the end of Valour actually makes me think that the next book will have stuff happen all throughout, which I hope is true, because I think we are closing in on the 800 page mark. Seriously, challenge for John Gwynne to write a book that is not extremely boring. Thing is, it's still a very solid book. It's a very solid book. I am well aware that I have a very specific taste when it comes to major epic fantasy like this, and it's not this. So I am well aware that I'm criticizing this with a bit of a bias. I still gave it 3 stars. It is a solid read. It is just not my speed of solid read, if that makes sense. I could use with a bit more stuff actually happening, and like stuff that feels meaningful. Like, there are a lot of action scenes in here. There's so much fighting going on, but it feels more like, okay, it makes sense to have a battle here. Like, there would be no difference between writing about the battle and reading the battle happening and a character just sitting down and telling us, oh, there was this battle. It's the slow kind of fantasy, and it's the kind of slow that I despise with a passion. Again, thankfully, I have the audiobook for book 3. I also have the audiobook for book 4, and I will read them, and I will read them soon, simply because the catch-up book club is doing its thing, and peer pressure, I guess. I don't know. 3 stars, and I'm happy that this is over so I can start reading more interesting books. I don't want to say better books, because again, it's not a bad book, but I'm happy to move on from this and start reading things that are a bit more engaging for my own little brain. It is I, again, and again I'm wearing my favorite hoodie. I love this stupid thing so much. I finished not 1 but 2 more reads. So the first book I finished was the first Murderbot diary, All Systems Read, by Martha Wells, I believe was that. I picked that up on a whim because I DNF'd the nonfiction audiobook I was listening to while I was walking the dog. There was nothing wrong with the nonfiction, it was just that I realized 50% into the whole thing that it's probably a book I need to read in order to comprehend what's going on. So I put that aside for now, and then I was like, okay, what am I going to listen to now on walkies? And I was like, it's Murderbot. So I just threw on Murderbot, and I distinctly remember walking slower because I wanted to listen to it in full. So I did. And it's great! It's great! Honestly, everyone who says Murderbot follows a murderbot who wants to do nothing but watch TV shows is underselling this novella. Everyone who boils it down to that is underselling the novella, but I get why. I get why, because it is very hard to quantify what else is going on in this novella, but just boiling it down to weird murder android thing wants to watch silly TV shows is doing it a disservice. And I really, really, really desperately want to tell you what's going on in there besides that is making this so good, but I can't because I'm lacking the words to do so. So here we are. I don't even know why I picked it up, because I distinctly remember the description of Murderbot not wanting to do murder but instead wanting to watch silly TV shows was never enticing enough for me to pick it up, and now I just did, and it was great. This is one of those sci-fi books that plays around with such unique concepts that are totally logical when you think about it. Like, this whole Murderbot thing, it would be a natural, like, history or, like, future history for mankind. So it makes it believable, but at the same time, it is such a creative idea behind it. I just loved it. And I loved Murderbot. I loved them. I don't know. Murderbot never gave preferred pronouns. People are saying it in a novella, but I feel inclined to use they, them, so I don't know. Murderbot. But yeah, it was just such a nice, short read. It does a lot of things in a very short amount of time, and I really love that. I gave that 4.5 stars, and I can't wait to read the other six installments in it. I finished Godkiller by Henny Kane. Henny? By Hannah Kaner. And I had fun with that one. I saw all the critiques about the world building being nothing special, about the pacing being kind of bad, but I have to disagree. Honestly. Is the world building the most innovative thing ever? No. But it doesn't have to be, because it was good, it was solid, and the pacing, yes, it's a fast book, but it's a high fantasy story packed in under 400 pages. You gotta go fast. And honestly, I thought that the pacing, because it was so fast, was good. We didn't linger on anything for too long, which in combination with the solid world building that does nothing new necessarily makes for a great read, in my opinion. Like, the fact that the world building is solid makes the story work. The fact that the world building is nothing new is the perfect thing for this fast pacing, and the fast pacing is perfect for this nothing new world building, because we literally don't have to linger on anything, so we don't. And I like that. And given that I read John Gwynne this month as well, I prefer Godkiller I prefer Godkiller. It is a cast of characters that I can wrap my head around because we have four main characters that we follow. We have Kissen, our Godkiller. We have Elogast, a weird knight dude who is definitely not the boyfriend of the king. We have Inara, who is a little girl who is tied to character number 4, which is Skedi, and Skedi is a god who is tied to Inara. And that's the whole cast of characters. We have a bunch of supporting characters, yes, but we are not zooming in on every detail of their life like we do with Jona and Gwynne. Like, it's 4 characters, boom. These are the people who we are following. This is who these people are. And I like them. Like, the dynamics are amazing. The dynamics between all of them are amazing. I love all of them. I'm a bit skeptical about Skedi, but that comes with the nature of the fact that, like, he does not know who he is, and that was portrayed very well because I as a reader don't know what to think of him. And it doesn't help that he's the god of white lies, so we are literally jump roping with the concept of truth and lies when it comes to him. That was a very interesting dynamic around Skedi as a whole. Like, everything around Skedi is a thing. I liked it. And honestly, I did not see that plot twist coming at the end. I did not see that coming. Maybe because I was too convinced of one thing. I did not see that coming, and I was pleasantly surprised by it. I think it was a good move. It wasn't that I didn't see it coming because there was no build up to it. There was build up to it, but it's one of those build ups that, like, 2020 hindsight, you know? One of those build ups. And I'm very much looking forward to book 2, Sunkiller. Sunkiller? No. Godkiller, Sunbringer, Faithbreaker. To reading Sunbringer. I gave Godkiller 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed my time with it. And that is actually one of those books where I'm like, okay, we could expand a bit more in the world building because that is the kind of world building I'm a sucker for. Gimme. I will not be reading Sunbringer in March, though, because, and this is where we gracefully segue into the outro of this whole video, I will not be reading Sunbringer because this is it. This is me ending this video. This is me ending my March wrap-up early. It is currently the 25th of March, and I'm ending it here because right now it is the Thick Thighs Readathon, and I'm reading books for that, and because this video is already kind of long-ish, I decided to break this wrap-up thing up, and everything that I'm reading right now, everything that I've read already and will be reading until the end of the month, will be in my Thick Thighs Readathon wrap-up. Say that 10 times fast, which will be coming, I think, next week if I manage to get my shit together. Well, next week for you, not next week for me, because I still have to read the books. Anyways, so yeah, I'm wrapping this here with a really solid reading month, actually. Let me quickly grab my things and look at the stats. Mind you, these stats will be a tiny bit screwed because the Thick Thighs Readathon books I already read are playing into it, but still, I think it was a pretty solid reading month in terms of, like, quality of the books. Yeah, so of the books I read, the average rating is like 3.8 something stars, so it was another very good reading month for me in terms of quality of the reads and quantity of the reads. What the fuck? I said March is going to be a slow month because I want to mood read, because I'm in the middle of moving. No. I lied, apparently. So, yeah, that was a great reading month so far. But yeah, that's it for my March wrap-up. If you liked this crazy explosion of me reading books, like the video, I guess. Tell me what you read in March. Were you successful? Did the spring spirits take hold of your body and make you go crazy like they did with me? Tell me in the comments. If you don't want to tell me what kind of demons possessed you in March, leave a flower-related emoji down in the comments. I'm not allergic to them. And I guess I will see you in the next video. Bye.